There are times in life where we don't feel like, or we don't have time to go to the grocery store or to the supermarket, whatever you call it, where you live in the world. And that is when reverse meal planning can be your best friend. So today I'm going to take you through my process of how I reverse meal plan using only stuff I have in the house for a whole week. Let's see what I can make. Well, hello there and welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Emmy and we are all about cooking and preparing healthy food on a budget in this channel. So make sure to subscribe down there or support the channel as a member if that's something you'd like to do. But this week, apologies for my croaky voice. I've had a bit of a cold and I really didn't want to go to the grocery store or the supermarket this week. And I thought what a great opportunity to utilize reverse meal planning. If you haven't heard about reverse meal planning before, it is basically just using exactly the things that you have on hand in your fridge, freezer and pantry, mine are just back there, and making healthy, tasty meals based on the stuff that you have. As a side thing, also, it is really good to rotate through your stock from time to time. So most things have an expiration date when they're in the fridge, of course, but a lot of people will leave things in the freezer for way longer than they should be there. So I try to go through my stock in my freezer every 2 to 3 months, just to rotate through, making sure things don't get too bad freezer burn and things like that. Most things will still be perfectly edible, even if they've had freezer burn. But the same goes for your pantry. You might have, sauces or things in jars or even canned goods. They do expire eventually. So let's look at what I can make this week with only things that I have on hand. I did not plan for this video at all. This is real life. So let's have a look at what we can find. So first up, I do recommend that you write your meal plan down somewhere. You could use your phone. I'm gonna use just a simple notepad and a pen. You could also use the completely free downloadable checklist that I have down there for you, both in the comment section and I think in the description as well. So check that out, no obligation if you need a template to start with. But all I do is to look at lunch and dinner and my 7 days. So full disclosure, I actually sneakily started this challenge yesterday without realizing that I wanted to film this for you today. But I had all the stuff in my fridge and my pantry to make lasagna. So I made lasagna. I already had the oven going last night for dinner. So I ended up making a decent sized tray of lasagna. I had some minced beef that had to get used up or frozen. I had some ricotta cheese and I had a little bit of leftovers of other types of cheese. So, and I had gluten-free lasagna sheets in my pantry. So I ended up throwing that together while the oven was going anyway, and it turned out really tasty. I had a sneaky taste test. So that is gonna make enough for at least 2 dinners. And I'm thinking probably even 1 lunch this upcoming week. So we've got 3 of our meals already sorted. Next up, I had a little bit of a dig through my freezer and I found that I had a fair bit of chicken breast. So this is just from our local butcher. They do like a meat pack type thing. So we have 1 lonely chicken breast here and we've got 2 smaller chicken breasts here. And then I started to get an idea of, that plus I've got some like frozen veggies. This is just peas, corn and something else. Carrots, because I am trying to go through my freezer and use up some of the things that are in there. So I'm like, well, what can you do with chicken and veggies? And then I thought, what about like a chicken pot pie? And then you ask yourself, Emmy, but your husband is gluten-free. Can you make a gluten-free chicken pot pie? Well, I'm gonna try because I found a recipe that uses gluten-free flour and xanthan gum, which I do have at home because I've tried to make gluten-free scones before. So I actually found a recipe online. I'm gonna cook it up this week. If it's good, I will film it for you. If it's terrible, I'll also let you know. But that means that I'm gonna be making chicken pot pie for 2 nights. It might make more than that, but why not? Let's live a little. And it will also mean that this frozen chicken comes out of my freezer and gets used. So that's good. So we've got the lasagna, we've got some chicken. So we've got some variety going on here. In addition to the lasagna and the chicken pot pie, I am gonna finally make that Swedish meatball video that I have promised you guys for a while. So make sure you've subscribed down there to the channel if you aren't already. But I'm gonna be filming that this weekend. So we're gonna be making Swedish meatballs, my family recipe style, with mashed potato. So I'm gonna add that to my meal plan for the weekend, and that's gonna feed us for at least 2 days. I always try to make extra so we can freeze some, but my husband absolutely loves Swedish meatballs, so it's gonna get eaten this weekend, I'm pretty sure. And I need let me just do my quick math here. I'm gonna need at least one more dinner. So I think what I'm gonna do is a fish curry with rice. I do have some frozen vegetables. I do always keep some kind of frozen fish. So this is just the basa fillets from Aldi. They're very inexpensive. And I haven't used them in a lot of other recipes, but they go really nicely in a fish curry. You basically just need some green curry paste of your choice, some coconut milk, and then these and some vegetables, and then we serve it over rice. So I am gonna add fish curry to my list. I think that's going to be really tasty. And the other thing about this fish curry, by the way, is that you can freeze it. I have frozen it before in smaller portions in my fridge. So I'll probably end up making a double batch of that and freezing 1 to 2 portions for a later time. For lunches this week, I've actually kept it really simple. I almost always keep a frozen homemade soup of some description in the fridge. My husband is actually away for work for 2 days, so I really only need to feed myself. So a portion of this size along with some toasted bread or something will be really good. This is actually the vegetable stew, a very similar recipe to what I did in my extreme grocery haul challenge. If you haven't seen that video, I'm gonna link that down below and up here somewhere for you. But anyway, I always freeze extra portions of soup when I make it. So this is gonna be lunch. I had this for lunch actually today, and then this other portion is gonna be my lunch for tomorrow. So we've done soup for lunch for 2 days, which means I only need another 4 lunches to get through the week without going to the supermarket at all. And I dug through my fridge and I found some tofu. This is just the cheap firm tofu from Aldi. It was $2.59 at Aldi last time I checked at my Aldi. It's very, very cheap. I have made it many times here on the channel before. I will try to find a video to link for you down below where I make this. But basically, fried rice is the simplest thing ever. You boil some rice and let it cool in your fridge. You can use brown rice or white rice. I find that white rice works a little bit better. And pro tip, I always boil this with a stock cube. And the stock cube, whether you use vegetable stock, fish stock, whatever, will bring a lot of extra flavor to your rice. And when your rice has been, let it cool in the fridge, so you can leave it overnight in the fridge even, and then you cook up your vegetables, some onion, some tofu, and turn that into a yummy fried rice. You can add eggs if you want, or if you want to keep it completely plant-based, you leave the eggs out. So I'm gonna make enough fried rice for 3 lunches worth, which should be pretty easy because I always go overboard. If you follow me in this channel, you know that I like to cook big things and then I end up having to eat leftovers for a few days. And that leaves me with 1 little lunch left, and I think we're just gonna keep it really, really simple and do eggs on toast or something. I've got a couple of eggs left in my fridge, so I might just do eggs on toast because sometimes you don't need to complicate things any further than that. And that, my friend, is how I create a meal plan. I'm not going to the supermarket at all this week. I do still have some fruit. If I didn't have fruit, believe me, I would be running to the supermarket because I do need fruit and veggies in my life. But I'm pretty amazed at the things that we can come up with when we need to. Now, it's worth mentioning that reverse meal planning does not mean that you don't go to the store at all. I mean, if you need some basic ingredients to make your meal plan work, of course, go and get fresh produce, go and get your fruit, go and get whatever it is that you need for the week to feed yourself and your family nice, healthy food. I just find that reverse meal planning in this way, and I do it and I talk about it often here on the channel. I set it in my calendar, so 1 week a month I try to do exactly the exercise I've just taken you through, using up frozen vegetables, using up stuff in my freezer, and also using up things that I already have in the pantry. If you keep a reasonably well-stocked pantry, by the way, there is a heck of a lot of things that you can make very easily and inexpensively. In addition to this, I also keep a bag of emergency food type things in my pantry. I've done a separate video on your emergency food stock, and I'm not talking about prepper giant food stock. I'm talking about a smaller stock that would tie myself and my husband over for a few days if we needed to. I will link that video down there below as well as up here somewhere, because it's something worth having regardless where in the world you live, whatever climate zone you live in. By the way, it's raining really hard right now. I don't know if you can hear it in the background. Anyway, a bit of, wintry rain. So reverse meal planning is a great tool that you can have up your sleeve and utilize if you want to. So that is how I get through a week when I don't feel particularly inspired, but hey, these meals are gonna be healthy. I'm gonna use what I have. I'm not gonna have to spend time or energy to go to the supermarket. And a little bonus tip, if you are sharing the cooking and the meal prepping in your family, you can actually include people's names in your meal plan. So for example, here I've got E for Emmy and P for Paul, my husband, for the different meals that we are preparing. This is a great hack if you're not already doing this, if you have kids or even maybe teenagers or older kids living at home. You can allocate them to cook a meal of their choice on a night when they are available, when they don't have sports and other hobbies, and it can greatly help. And the same thing goes in our family. I obviously do a little bit more of the cooking because I run this channel, but my husband is an amazing cook, especially with the barbecue, and I've actually had quite a few times when he's helped out here on the channel. I will link a few of those videos down below, including his amazing chicken wings, which I can highly recommend that you try out on the barbecue. Because it's rainy and winter right now, there's a little bit less barbecuing in our world. Anywho, let me know how you go with your meal planning this week. If you have any particular questions or anything that you would like me to film in future videos. If not, make sure to leave your questions for the Q&A Swedish meatball video down there in the comments section. If you have any questions about me, about food, about where I'm from, why I cook Swedish meatballs, whatever, leave them down there and I will try to answer as many questions as possible when I film that video on the weekend. So I hope you have a great week, and I'm certainly feeling a little bit better. I've also had a bit of a haircut, as you might notice, so it's a little bit shorter than before, which feels really nice. I do this from time to time, but I hope you have a great week, and thanks for hanging out with me today.